Hi there. Welcome to day 10 of the Zazoo Plazz April video challenge. It's April 10th. It's Good Friday. And before I forget, I would like to show you what I did today. I made salmon pies in the French-Canadian tradition. If you could see that. Can you see that? See my pies? Or that one? Oh, and then that one. You can see all the salmon in there? Mashed potatoes. It's basically like what we used to call tortilla. It's a meat pie. In my family, my French-Canadian family would have meat pie at on New Year's Day, and salmon pie on Good Friday. Because, of course, you can't, good Catholics can't eat meat on Good Friday. So that would be today. And, of course, a lot of things are different. We won't go into Mass for Easter, and everything is online. So, you know, things are changing. And I wanted to show you that. And it makes me think about all of my ancestors, my French-Canadian ancestors, when I make a dish like salmon pie. Because, you know, I think about how every year, you know, Mom would make them. And my aunt in the book, Olivia, she'd make them. And Mime would make them, my mother's mother. And, of course, they all tasted different. Everybody had their own. They had the basic family recipe, but everybody's would taste somewhat different. My mother's were always impeccably, perfectly delicious and wonderful. And mine tastes a lot like hers, but, you know, probably less perfect. There's a story in the book about cupcakes to that extent. Yeah, maybe I should read the cupcake story today. Yeah, I think I might. And it illustrates this difference, where I talk about my mother-in-law's cupcakes and my cupcakes and my mother's. And you know, maybe I'll just wait on that. I'm going to read something else. But in any case, today, looking at Zazoo, we're probably going to talk about this spoon here, the kitchen stuff. See, she's got her little gloves too, which is very handy. Since the illustration for this book was done a year ago, 2019 in January, long before any of the current situation had happened or anybody knew it would happen. She's got the gloves on because it kind of goes with the rest of the outfit, matches the apron, and she kind of looks snazzy and elegant with the gloves, so we kept the gloves as part of the costume. But anyway, I want to talk a little bit about making the pies. So I was making the pies, and I realized that I had only 2 cans of salmon, and my mother's recipe calls for 3. And I realized the problem with that is because I was looking at some recipe online that somebody else made for their French-Canadian salmon pies, and I couldn't find my mother's pie recipe until today. So I only got 2 cans of salmon. I had tons of onion. You saute the onion in butter, and you put that in with the salmon, and then you make your mashed potatoes. And you know, my mom always made them from potato flakes because they're quick, and you just add them to milk, and poof, you have all these mashed potatoes. So I started to kind of get freaked out a little bit because I tried going on Google and searching, you know, salmon pie, not enough salmon, things like that. And everybody seemed to use a different amount. And I said, oh, geez, maybe I should just call Mom and just see what she says. And so I tried calling Mom, and I used the landline. And as you will hear as I tell stories about my parents, they live in sort of a black hole where the phones never seem to work, and it's just like this cave or mystic sort of, blip where you call and it sounds like, they're talking out of a tin can or a trash can, and they got cell phones now, and that's just two more phones that don't work, even though they only really use one phone, but they have to. It's complicated. So I said, oh, they're not home, or they're not answering the phone, or there's some problem. All right, so I'm not getting through. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to make the darn pies. Take a chance that they're going to turn out okay. So I did the mashed potatoes and everything, and I dumped them in the 2 pie crusts and baked them, and the guys ate them, and they said they taste fine. They taste like normal, like Grandma's pie, whatever. So I thought about that just sitting here now, and how much energy I expended. You can feel that sense of dread when it tickles your toes, when you're like, then, how many times in life does this second guessing of ourselves happen, where we're like, oh man, I did this wrong or that wrong, and we start, saying, I should have bought more salmon, I should have bought more salmon, but that was just spoiling our enjoyment of the pies. And I realized, how many times do we ask God, the universe, whoever, our higher power, our higher authority, the divine, how many times do we reach out and we think we don't have an answer, or we want an answer right now, right? I want to know how much salmon. Can I do this? Can I not do this? And if we just acknowledge that and say, okay, see what you're doing right now? Take the deep breath, right? Let it out. And say, oh well, just make the pies and see what happens. So I did that. I did a workout, got all ready. Everything turned out fine. The pies are delicious. And in fact, maybe I used just the right amount. Maybe Mom had a different brand of salmon or whatever, and she used 3 cans, and next year I might use 3 cans, or I might use 2 cans again. We'll see. But I think about, on Good Friday, I always like to do a little meditating about Jesus, and as a Catholic, and how his friends probably thought that same feeling, like, what do we do now? He's gone. He left us. We were just having dinner last night, and now he's gone, and what's going to happen, right? He probably thought he had, abandoned them, right? It's like, geez, how are things going to turn out now? And then, right, the 3rd day, we see the reason for it. Jesus rose from the dead. And so what I interpret when I meditate on it, I think that God wants us to go deep, wherever you believe, how we're all connected, and the divine part of ourselves that's connected to God. We have to do our best and have faith, and have faith in ourselves, that we're just doing our best with what we know right now. And time will tell what's going to happen, right? Whether it's something as seemingly insignificant as making the salmon pies, although to me it's kind of a big deal to carry on these traditions, pass them on to my kids. And there's a lot of traditions that seem to be going by the wayside, and to be diminished, and some of them we'll keep, some of them we'll bring back, some of them we'll let go. And it don't seem right and proper, I think. So I was thinking about mashed potatoes. I was making the mashed potatoes for the salmon pies. It's kind of a cheat, you know. And I use the ready-made pie crust because like my mother used it, and her mother didn't really have it. May probably made her own crust. I just don't have time anymore. I use the kind that you buy in the box and you just unroll it, put it on there. Saves time, and I think it tastes just as good. I don't have an awful lot of patience for things like that. Although if I had to, I could probably do it. But I do get creative in the kitchen sometimes, and usually it results in a humor story, like in my book, The Audacious Adventures of Zazoo Plazz, part-time superhero, full-time mom. Over on Amazon, there's a link there. If you haven't read the book yet, and you're looking for a laugh, you can read about some of my cooking adventures. So there was this time, okay, so February 20th, on a date forever etched in the memory of all 5 of my senses, I made paleo shepherd's pie with grass-fed ground lamb, tempted by the nutritionist's equivalent of the snake in the Garden of Eden. I'm going to pay for that one for a long time. I'm not sure if my son Jack was more disappointed that I used counterfeit mashed potatoes, also known as whipped cauliflower, on top, or that the lamb was so pungent we had to dump the casserole outside. It took half a bottle of lemon juice and vinegar to get the smell out of the house. To Jack's credit, he took a bite of lamb before asking if the local sandwich shop was still open. And then, of course, I go into talking about lamb and something to do with a movie starring Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster, The Silence of the Lambs. It's one of my favorite movies. Very scary movie. They also had masks in that movie. Hockey mask. But somehow when I think lamb, I think that movie, The Silence of the Lambs. I was not brought up to eat lamb. A few years back it seemed like it was getting revived a little bit, but I'm sticking with my decision. I'm not going to eat any more lamb. So anyway, but those are the adventures for today. And as a side note, my husband came home, got the Easter ham, and he found some toilet paper. He got the last 6-pack and a couple of those single wrapped rolls. He's going to give one of them to his mother because she ran out. So I guess we're all set. We got our Easter ham, we got TP. I'm going to go have my salmon pies and post some more videos and think a little bit more about Zazoo and her cooking skills. And I hope you have a good day, good evening, whenever you're watching. And see you tomorrow for day 11. Stay safe, be well, wishing you much light, love, and laughter. Ta-ta.